Navigation resumed. At the roundabout, take the second exit. Take the exit. Turn right. Use the right lane, then continue straight. Continue straight.
Relief this weekend. You bring up the money the Biden campaign was able to then put $30 million into advertising. They're counting on the fact that Republicans are coming out of a divisive primary at a time when the RNC is trying to regroup. Just to put that amount of money in context, Shannon, that's how much Donald Trump had in cash on hand at the end of January. And the Biden campaign now says that in the last week, it's raised $11.5 million. We don't know what the Trump fundraising is. I'm sure he got a boost as well, but those are significant sums.
They are. Here's Wall Street Journal editorial board, though. They're with Molly, not a fan of the speech, saying this. President Biden's address on Thursday was memorable for all the wrong reasons. His address was one long divisive pep rally for Democrats, goading Republicans throughout the speech and targeting multiple and various villains for partisan attacks. And one I would note that included the Supreme Court justices sitting there.
Yeah, you know, the argument, I find the criticism that it was somehow political, to me, gee, that's in keeping with the current political climate, which has Republicans often breaking with precedent and being overly political. You know, the president wasn't wearing a red hat like Marjorie Taylor Greene. He wasn't hectoring people. So to me, what you see here is he delivered a speech that was political because the GOP in some way painted him as a demented, doddering, soup-slobbering old fool who couldn't deliver that speech. But he came through energetic, alert, and responding to the heckling, you know, saying, oh, you want to send back the money that I've given you for infrastructure spending? Okay, you know, he was playing with his Republican critics in a way that I think energized the Democrats. You know, it's very real. The money came in for a reason. That people who were nervous on the Democratic side suddenly said, hey, this guy looks like a superhero to Democrats. Not only that, he spent time afterwards walking around, talking to people, making comments that were picked up on the hot mic. I think people saw a lively president that reassured his base.
Well, when you talk about the donations coming in, the Biden campaign is also reaching out apparently to Nikki Haley donors, because now that she's out, they not only want the donors, they want the voters. Here's what she said in announcing she was suspending her campaign Wednesday.
It is now up to Donald Trump to earn the votes of those in our party and beyond it who did not support him. And I hope he does that.
So will he? Because he came out, on Truth Social saying Nikki Haley got trounced last night, talking about radical left-wing Democrats who were supporting her. And then at the end of his statement, he says, by the way, I'd further like to invite all the Haley supporters to join the greatest movement in the history of our nation.
And of course, that's after he decided he wanted to kick out anyone who had previously
Continue
donated
straight.
to Haley. Biden and Trump have both taken a different approach to trying to court these voters, and I think time will tell for them. As for President Biden's So Too speech, they definitely thought that that was an opportunity for them to appeal to the Haley voters. As to whether they did, it's an open question. Don Bacon, who's a centrist Republican who would probably be in the camp that Haley voters are, at least the Republicans and not the Democratic kind of crossover votes, said that he thought that that State of the Union was the worst he's ever heard. And he was complaining, saying, I wish we had had a heads up that his speech was only intended for hardcore Democrats. And so if that's not appealing to some of the kind of gettable Republicans, it might not have been a speech for those Haley voters.
Well, the President Biden campaign was quick to say, come on over to join us, saying this. Donald Trump has made it clear he doesn't want Nikki Haley supporters. I want to be clear, there is a place for them in my campaign. Molly, smart move by the Biden-Harris team?
Well, it is true that there were a lot of Democrat crossover voters for Nikki Haley, so that makes sense for him to try to reach out to them. But it also is true that the vast majority of people who voted for Trump in 2020, nearly every single person, have told pollsters that they will be voting for him again. You do not see that for President Biden. You see that he's got lower
Use the left
favorability ratings
lane.
than President Trump. I think only like 85% of his voters have said that they are inclined to vote for him again.
Well, I just want to jump in there and say, the Fox News voter analysis polls show that like a third, 33% of Republicans are not MAGA. They're not, Make America Great Again Trump allies. And half of them say they will never vote for President Trump. And you stop and think about this for a second. They're just not buying the strongman, authoritarian friend. I mean, he was down at Magalaro with the Hungarian authoritarian.
Here's what they do. Here's what they are looking at. They see that under the Trump presidency, they had a very good economy. They had a secure border. They had foreign policy where peace was breaking out all over the world. And then under a Biden presidency, they probably do not have good feelings about the economy. They have a border that went from secure to being torn down.
We can argue that all day, Molly, but the fact is, I'm just saying, Trump doesn't have a big enough pool of Republican voters to win in November. And to pick up on Olivia's point, he's saying to Haley supporters, if you gave money, we don't want you. Or I trounced you. Or you're a bad person if you supported Haley. That's not the way to win.
So what if I could, actually, I spent months covering the Haley campaign and talking to these voters out there. And so many of them, it was very interesting, said that if they had voted for Joe Biden in the 2020 election, a lot of them were Republicans who did not want to have to do that again. There were also many, though, who said that they voted for Donald Trump 2 times. They were unsure what they would do in this election. They might even stay at home.
And that's
so
the
I
question.
think that the number of Democrats who might have voted for Haley is perhaps being a little bit overblown. So many of them were saying they were Republicans.
So do these folks stay home? Do they cross over and show up for someone else? We'll see, because there are some third-party folks in there, too. Okay, panel, don't go far. Up next, influencers, teens and tweens bombard lawmakers with pleas, don't ban TikTok. Well, due to its ties with communist China, that might happen. We'll preview Tuesday's key House vote that could have a major impact on American social media.
Winter, with its cold, dry air causing that not-so-nice winter nose feeling. Thankfully, you don't have to wait for warmer weather to clear sinus congestion and send winter nose packing. All you need is Navage Nasal Care. Navage helps soothe the inflamed nasal passages that are
Use
often
the
part
right
of colds
lane,
and infections.
then
It
take the
flushes
exit on the
pure,
right.
refreshing saline solution through your sinuses to give you the soothing moisture you need. Navage also sucks out the other irritants trapped in your nose. Viruses,
Take the exit on the
dust,
right.
bacteria, and germs too. Winter might feel like it drags on forever, but Navage works
Turn
quickly,
right.
helping you breathe more clearly in just 30 seconds. No decongestants required. Navage is a drug-free solution that helps you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. Get Navage today and make winter a little more bearable. Navage is available online at navage.com or in stores at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, and Target. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
This statement is not.
The world needs ways to reduce carbon emissions.
We're working on solutions in our own operations.
Like carbon capture.
And clean energy from hydrogen.
So, who are we?
Believe it or not, ExxonMobil. And our solutions could help businesses in manufacturing,
commercial transportation,
and power generation too.
Heavy industry.
In 200 meters, turn left.
Let's deliver.
Learn more at exxonmobil.com.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early, so everyone can go home on time. There's Grainger.
Navigation resumed.
Offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts, so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Listen often and stay a while. We are 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's news and talk.
In some cases, threatening suicide.
Wisconsin Republican Congressman Mike Gallagher on growing concerns about TikTok as the House is now fast-tracking a vote for next week for a possible nationwide ban. But there's more to that on this popular social media app. We are back with the panel. There's been a lot of melting down over this whole thing. But what he's saying is, and it passed 50-0 bipartisan out of the committee, which nothing ever does anymore on Capitol Hill. But the idea, Olivia, is that the company has to divest from any kind of, Chinese communist control or linkage, and then it can stay. But TikTok's not telling that part of the story. They're just telling people, you're going to lose your app. Go call the congressman.
Absolutely, Shannon. I started getting texts from staffers and members saying that their offices were being bombarded. And some of my favorites were usually it's the staffers on the House who answer the phones are quite young, and they would say, does your teacher know you're calling us right now? And they would get a hang up. But they found that they were usually pretty young kids. They were saying, I live on TikTok. I can't believe you're banning it. You're taking away something that I use all the time in my livelihood. And that created a ton of frustration. Basically, the TikTok had this pop-up saying, if you want to use the app, you have to call these members and argue against a ban. So they felt like TikTok was using misleading information that they argue is another example of why this app is a threat, because if something else comes up, a policy down the line, they can just do this again.
So I want to play something a little bit more from Congressman Gallagher, because there are also business owners who are worried, people who monetize this, they make a living on TikTok. Here's what he said about what they're trying to do.
As long as TikTok is owned by ByteDance, and ByteDance is indisputably beholden to the Chinese Communist Party, so it would compel a divestiture. Think of it as a surgery designed to remove the tumor from the patient and thereby save it.
But one, that's getting lost in the conversation a bit.
But that's the whole issue. Right now, the question is, will TikTok separate from ByteDance and the Chinese government, which is in control of ByteDance? And why? I mean, look, the ball's in their court because the problem is ownership, and the data goes to the Chinese government in terms of everything from opinions to preferences, even to where you are. So it's surveillance. To me, this is a test for future fights between the U.S. and China over technology. And right now, it's become political because you have people like President Trump opposes Congressman Gallagher's bill. And you have people like Kellyanne Conway and Club for Growth who are lobbying for ByteDance and for TikTok. You know, I'm not a fan of this kind of technology that takes over our kids' lives. But one of the things former President Trump said was, oh, this will benefit Facebook, and then he slurred the name of Mark Zuckerberg. I just don't think that's where I want to have the argument. I'd rather have the argument about how it's impacting us as an American people and our children.
And yeah, there was a conversation under his watch in trying to do something and press back against TikTok. It wasn't successful, and I've heard this a million times on Capitol Hill, so we'll see. But there's also this. The president, according to Congressman Gallagher, he told me the White House is on board with this, but they've also joined TikTok. The campaign has. The New York Times notes this. The Biden president, it says Biden the president wants to curb TikTok, but Biden the candidate embraces its stars, and they quote a former tech advisor for the Biden administration saying from a national security perspective, the campaign joining TikTok was definitely not a good look. It was condoning the use of a platform that the administration and everyone in D.C. recognizes is a national problem. And Francesca, they had TikTok influencers at the White House to watch the State of the Union Thursday night.
And this is the realities of governing versus campaigning when you need the youth vote in the upcoming presidential election, and that's where they are, and that's where the Biden campaign has been taking its message. But President Biden himself has said that he would sign this bill if it does pass Congress. It does have bipartisan support, so if it were to get to his desk, you would see him do that. And the White House had previously said this was essentially up to Congress to pass something like that. They hadn't found a way, I guess, to be able to get around what Trump couldn't get around either, which is how the president could ban it, even if he wanted to. But all's in Congress's court now.
Well, and it also is there for daylight saving time. Because they tried, Molly, back in 22, I believe it was, the Senate passed it, didn't get through the House. But for people who do not love changing the clocks back and forth, what is your opinion, and does anything on the Hill get done?
I have no idea what will be done. It has been a very difficult morning, so I hope something gets done. But
Especially for anybody with little kids at home, they don't really get the clock changing issue.
It is also important, social media and big tech are really important issues, and China owning TikTok is an important issue. But for members of Congress who are conservative or Republican, they should also care at least as much about Google, which we saw recently. It had its Gemini AI, which was teaching divisive and historically inaccurate information. Google controls nearly all of our search. It's on nearly every American's phones. And Congress doesn't seem to care as much about what Google is doing to harm America as they care so much about TikTok, and they should.
All right, well, social media, there are a number of social media cases pending at the Supreme Court this term, too. So we'll wait to see what all the branches do about it. Panel, thank you very much. But we'll see you next Sunday. Coming up, former NFL football player Tim Tebow on Capitol Hill to shine a light on the ugly reality of online child exploitation. We'll talk with him about the fight he has for the most vulnerable. Next.
They're calling out to you and to me, and how many times in my life have I missed the call? Have I missed the mark? Unfortunately, too many.
Did you hear? Macy's one-day sale starts Tuesday. Refresh your wardrobe
Continue
for spring
straight.
with great deals on brands you know, like 40 to 60% off Anne Klein, Tommy Hilfiger, Style & Co. and more. And add your flair with 30 to 50% off shoes, handbags, and accessories. Plus, get 15 to 65% off home updates from Cuisinart, Lennox, and more. Macy's Star Rewards members earn on every purchase, except gift card services and fees. Savings off regular sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
Fargo, the new virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And that's just the beginning. Do you, Fargo? You can in the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Terms and conditions apply. Your mobile carrier's availability and message and data rates may apply. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
The Jeep Celebration event is going on right now with exceptional offers on a wide
Use
selection
the right
of Jeep
lane,
brand vehicles.
then
if you're
turn
looking to
right.
supercharge your next adventure, look no further than America's best-selling plug-in hybrid, the Jeep
Turn
Wrangler
right.
4xe. Or choose the luxurious Grand Cherokee or Grand Cherokee 4xe. All celebrations must come to an end, so hurry and visit Jeep.com or your local Jeep brand dealer for great deals during the Jeep Celebration event. Based on 2022 CYQ4 sales, JD Power retail sales data. Jeep is a registered trademark.
Spin your passion into a business with Shopify and break sales records with the world's best converting checkout. Let's hear that one more time. The world's best converting checkout. Shopify's legendary checkout makes it easier for customers to shop on your website, across social media, and everywhere in between. Now that's music to your ears. Any way you spin it, you can be a smash hit with Shopify. Start your $1 a month trial today at shopify.com/records.
Wings are here.
Oh, from?
No, I'd never order from anymore. Popeyes now has wings in 5 flavors. Ghost pepper, roasted garlic parmesan, sweet and spicy, signature hot, and honey barbecue. Marinated in Louisiana spices, hand battered and flipped. Makes no sense they're $5.99 for 6 pieces. Taste them.
Crunchy outside.
And juicy inside.
Consider me a convert.
That's the most romantic thing you've said to me all month.
We don't make sense. We make chicken.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Price may vary.
102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's news and talk on your favorite smart speaker.
It's the audio archives of Fox News Talk.
Tim Tebow might be best known for his work on the football field, winning the Heisman, being inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. But Tebow has been using his platform
Continue
off the
straight.
field to bring faith, hope, and love to those who need it most. I sat down with Tim earlier this week to discuss his testimony on Capitol Hill and the work he and his foundation are fighting to get done.
Use the right
Welcome
lane,
to Fox News
then
Sunday.
turn right.
Great to have you here in Washington, and you were on the Hill for a very important topic.
Turn
it's one
right.
of the worst evils in the world, the fight against child exploitation. And I was made aware of this several years ago, just the depth of it, by one of our team members who joined our team. She said to me, I believe that there's 20,000 boys and girls that are still unidentified. So law enforcement can see their abuse and rape images, but they haven't been able to identify them. So if you can't identify them, then how could you possibly get to them? And so that led to a meeting in Lyon, France that we convened with Homeland Security, Interpol, NCMEC, ICMEC, Europol, Google, NEMI. So many people, 18 countries came together to talk about this, and we found out it's not 20,000 kids that are unknown and unidentified. It's over 50,000 boys and girls through the backlog are unidentified in these global databases. There are so many boys and girls, and 65% of them are under the age of 12, and 4.3% of them, that's 2,100, are infants.
Tebow launched his foundation in 2010 with the goal of caring for the most vulnerable people, or MVPs, across the world. Since its inception, his foundation has conducted philanthropic work in more than 80 countries. One of its focuses is identifying victims of human trafficking and child exploitation and bringing their abusers to justice with the help of law enforcement.
After weeks of piecing together clues in the photos and other digital breadcrumbs he unknowingly left behind, they finally found the offender. Today, that little girl who was once a victim is now a survivor, and the man who did unimaginable and unspeakable things to her is serving a life sentence in prison.
How does this problem get solved? I mean, how do you identify them? Is it that you were on the Hill to ask for more resources?
The tip of the spear for this fight is victim identification specialists. They are amazing frontline heroes, but right now we only have 7 here, and we need to have 100, 200. And so one of the appeals we were making is to bring more funding to C3 and HSI in this center for these victim identification specialists. But it really starts with being able to build a team to identify, and then partnerships all around the world, because when you have one of these images or videos, you don't know where that lead is going to take you. It could take you to Tampa, Florida, it could take you to Pennsylvania, it could take you to Thailand, it could take you to Germany, and over half of them so far that have been rescued have been right here in the U.S.
It's just shameful. It's shocking. But something else that you do around the world as well is Night to Shine, which has been such a beautiful thing. I love when you get to that season and people are posting on social media about what their church is doing or their community is doing with these special, amazing kings and queens that you want to celebrate. And I mean, it's been pretty long running now.
Yes, we just got to celebrate our 10-year anniversary of Night to Shine, and Night to Shine it's my favorite night of the year. We get to celebrate so many, as you call them, kings and queens, because every single honored guest to us is a king or a queen. But we get to celebrate so many people that have never been celebrated before. In one of the countries we were in this year, we were finishing a Night to Shine, and we were walking back through at the end of the night, and we saw the red carpet that was rolled up, and it was sitting to the side. And it was so cool because one of the team members looked at me and he said, "How crazy is that?" Right? That the red carpet is rolled up, but the worth and the value and the love that was shared and experienced tonight is not rolled up. Right? Like the night might end, but the worth and the value for all of humanity, for the 16% of the world's population that so many times has been looked past, has looked beyond, hasn't been seen as valuable, but we know to our God they have infinite value and worth, and we want to share that so that they can truly experience it and know that.
It's a beautiful thing. God bless you for how you're using your platform in all these different ways to really try to make a difference. It's inspiring to the rest of us to get out there and act as well.
Thank you so much.
And just a quick note, my podcast, Live in the Bream, drops a new episode this week. I sat down with the author and founder of the If Gathering, Jenny Allen, to talk about her new book, Untangle Your Emotions, naming what you feel and knowing what to do about it. And don't we all have some emotions these days? It's a great discussion.
KRMG FM Sand Springs, KRMG Tulsa. Listen to the KRMG Morning News with Dan Potter, Monday morning starting at 5 a.m. on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Fox News starts now.
Battleground Focus. I'm Paul Stevens, Fox News. This election season gearing up for a Trump-Biden rematch. At this point, both candidates going head-to-head in the key battleground state of Georgia.
President Biden and former President Trump will be spending a lot of money and time in the Peach State. The president is trying to shore up his support among minority voters. He's touting record low Black and Latino unemployment, and he's blasting former President Trump for his rhetoric on immigrants as Trump slams him, accusing him of failing to take action on the border. Trump says Americans are worse off now than they were 4 years ago. The Biden campaign is launching a $30 million ad blitz in battleground states, including Georgia. The president addresses his age head-on, reframing it as an asset. The Trump campaign, though, seizing it and compiling a montage of the president falling.
And that's Fox's Madeline Rivera. Meantime, in Michigan, another key battleground state, President Biden's popularity appears to be declining a bit over his stance on Gaza and the Palestinian civilians in the wake of the ongoing Israel-Hamas war. Both parents and in vitro fertilization clinicians now legally protected in Alabama.
Expectant fathers and mothers in Alabama and their IVF caregivers are now shielded from prosecution or lawsuits in the event frozen embryos perish during the course of treatment or storage. Alabama Governor Kay Ivey signed the protections into law last week. It followed a unique Alabama Supreme Court case where a couple whose frozen embryos were destroyed when an unauthorized person accessed the freezer at Mobile Infirmary Medical Center were allowed to sue for wrongful death, with the high court ruling the embryos to be people under state law. The ruling caused IVF clinics around the state to cease operations, though many are resuming treating patients. Eben Brown, Fox News.
America's listening to Fox News.
It is 12:02, and we got some live update here with Russell Mills about the previous reported traffic alert.
Yeah, just an update. The 71st
In 200
Street Bridge
meters,
has been
turn right.
reopened, maybe a little bit jammed for a while. They had somebody who was threatening to jump off the bridge into the river. Police shut it down both east and westbound about an hour and a half ago or so. That
turn
situation
right.
did take a little time to resolve, but we're told it was resolved peacefully. The individual was talked into the arms of rescuers, and they are now with the mental health professionals. And that will close this chapter of breaking news on account of Sunday in the big city of Tulsa. In the KRMG 24-hour newsroom, I'm Russell Mills.
Mayor Bynum signaling he might if he thinks they're too much.
We're going to ask him how much is too much when he joins us live for Monday with the Mayor.
On the KRMG Morning News with Dan Potter, 5 to 9 Monday.
102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
Each heart is an amazing thing.
Whether it's filled or followed.
Held close or given away.
Opened, broken, or worn on your sleeve.
Each
you have a ride.
Is an amazing thing.
And we're here to keep it that way. Broward Health specializes in cardiovascular care tailored to your individual needs, because no two hearts are the same. Broward Health, custom cardiac care. Learn more at browardhealth.org/cardiac care.
The DRS helps job seekers with disabilities become taxpayers.
Their whole thing is to help people with disabilities go back to work.
They knew that I would be successful if I did not give up.
They have given me the power and confidence to face any challenge.
I'm just glad that, DRS was there. Empower yourself. Talk to DRS Vocational Rehabilitation.
Or services for the blind today.
OKDRS.gov. 800-487-4042.
Lots of sunshine for your Sunday at a high of 65 for the afternoon. In fact, we keep the sunshine tomorrow through your Monday, but the highs are back into the 70s, right at 70 degrees for your Monday, 75 that high for your Tuesday with mostly sunny skies until we see some chances of storms Tuesday evening late, 78 that high for your Wednesday, 75 on Thursday. And Thursday, we're talking about our next round of rain. I'm meteorologist Michaela Smith for Fox